But I'm trying to tell you that I'm not a patsy for this board. They've never asked it, and I wouldn't give it to them. I give them strong, hard legal advice as to what they can do and what they can't do. And that's what we've done in this case. It happened also back in 2014. The same issue came before the board, and we advised them at that time. And the answer then is the same as the answer now.
It's not your personal beliefs.
Ms. Joshi, if you speak out again, you're going to have to leave this room.
I'm trying to tell you, it's not my personal beliefs. My belief is in the Constitution of the United States.
Did you read my case that I submitted?
Ma'am, I'm seriously, please leave.
I'm a lawyer.
Yes, thank you. Mr. Shumate, would you please continue?
The whole purpose of what I've said, if it has been missed on anyone, is that I understand the strong feelings that you have. Because I have strong feelings sometimes as well. I can relate to what you're saying. I think some of you have spoken very well on your particular perspective as I've listened to it over the sessions we've had. But I have recently had occasion to give this board advice, once again, about their legal standing vis-a-vis the flag and the flagpole and the consequences of what they can and cannot do. And I have concluded without equivocation, both back in 2014 and now, that this county has no legal authority to require the removal of that Confederate flag from that private property on that flagpole, which is 80 feet in height.
Coward!
The board has wrestled with this back in 2014. It has wrestled with it for the last several weeks. My office has not wrestled as much with it because we clearly understand what the law is in this case. The law is very clear that the First Amendment does not allow this governmental body to remove that Confederate flag from that 80-foot flagpole. You will not be able to reduce the height of this flagpole through a new zoning ordinance that you would pass. So that pole and the flag on it would remain. Next point is the flag itself. Without the recitation of untold authorities, it's been the law of this land under the First Amendment that that Confederate flag may fly. It may be something that you can't, it's very hard to understand. But the Constitution of the United States, as interpreted by our highest court in the land, has uniformly said, without equivocation, that that Confederate flag and flags like that are political expressions that are allowed to withstand the legal test of outside challenges. If we were to, or this board were to, contrary to my legal advice, attempt to take down that flagpole on private property. This is not governmental property. There's always a distinction there. If this were governmental property, it could be handled differently. But it's private property, privately owned, private flag, and a private pole. We've checked with VDOT, I might add, in the process then, and once again, VDOT has no power to regulate that sign, or not the sign, but the pole or the flag. It's not in their right-of-way. If this board were to take some action contrary to my legal advice, they would expose themselves to litigation, in my opinion. Their normal governmental immunity would be done away with, and they could be sued individually as well. I can't let them take some untoward action that might be popular in some quarters, but be also outside the framework of the law as we know it to be. To my way of thinking, as their legal counsel, and what I've advised them, and I believe they are following it, is that they cannot do anything with regard to the height of that pole on private property, and they can't do anything with that flag, once again, on that pole on private property. It is constitutionally protected. So therefore, my conclusion is to them that we have no legal or regulatory authority to remove the flag or the flagpole. There's no limit to First Amendment rights, but there is very strict scrutiny as to what you can and cannot do. And right now, this board's hands are tied. They cannot do the simple things that one might think they can do. They can't go out and just arbitrarily mandate through some zoning ordinance change that flagpole come down or that flag come down. It's just not constitutionally permissible. Now, that's my honest legal advice to this board, and I submit that to you, and I submit that to the board. And I thank you for your time. Thank you, members of the board.
Thank you, Mr. Shumate. And with that, that was our last item. I will adjourn this meeting. I wish everyone a good evening.